Welcome back to my video. I'm Judy, and today we're continuing our series on the book written by Jay Shetty, Think Like a Monk. And here it is. We went over previously part 1, and in this conversation, we will look at part 2, which is growing as an individual person and defining your purpose and determining what your purpose is. So let's jump right in and let's talk about part 2 of Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk, entitled Grow. And here are my top 5 takeaways. Takeaway 1 in part 2 of Grow is Dharma. And Dharma is passion. The magic formula, Jay says, is a combination of passion, expertise, and usefulness. And usefulness, he's talking about how much you're able to give to your community. And in his book, Jay gives an example. He says of people who want to be a doctor. You want to be a doctor, or you want to go into finance, or you want to do these different kinds of jobs or careers, and you're looking at it because you're looking at those positions as jobs that are looked at in your community as important jobs, and they are important, but are they for you? Is you also giving back to your community, which we will discuss more. So that's my takeaway 1. Let's move on to takeaway 2. So takeaway 2 has to do with routine. And in this chapter and in this part 2 of Jay Shetty's book, where he talks about routine, he says something that I found to be very interesting. He says, and I'm quoting, "Location has energy and time has memory." What does that mean? So for example, location has energy. So what you do at certain places in your house brings about certain energy. Similarly, he says time has memory, in that if you have a routine, is where we talk about routine and building a routine so that we can move towards our purpose. With time, you set, for example, time in the morning to meditate, or time in the morning just to set intentions for the day. Be careful of what you are feeding. You want to feed that part of your body, that part of you that is grateful. No one's perfect. We are going to have mishaps, but you want to spend most of your time feeding into the positive attributes that we all have, whether it's kindness, it's humility, generosity, and gratitude. Those things, and service to others, which we will talk about a little bit as well. But you want to feed into those attributes most of the time and as best as you can, so that that is reflective of you, and others looking in will see that about you. You would not see a monk going into a strip club, now would you? You also would not see a pastor going into a strip club. So those people aren't feeding that part of their body. That exists in every human being. And takeaway 4. Sorry, we're going off on a tangent. But takeaway 4 is ego. We all know what ego means. We know the struggle we have with our ego. And he says in the discussion on ego is how ego causes us to jump to conclusions. That it is an institutional phenomenon. Schools are ego-driven in culture. Textbooks, for example, focuses on the winners, and everyone else is left out of it. And that's the development of the ego phenomena. That is the development starting at a young age. And what do we use to negate that ego, because we know an ego is not a positive thing, right? Ego stops us from building relationships. Ego stops us from learning new things because we think we know everything. We think we're always right. So ego is not good. We all know that. So what do we do? What is the perfect balance for ego? It is humility, he says. Humility. Try to remember the bad you've done will help us realize that we are not perfect. That is one way we can learn to be more humble. Try to remember the bad you've done. That helps to realize that you are not perfect. I am not perfect. You are not perfect. And then also, secondly, remember the good others have done for you, which reminds us to be gracious, to show gratitude. Remember the good that others have done for you so that you can show gratitude. And those two things will help us to be more humble. He says to build confidence, not ego. That is my takeaway 4. Build confidence, not ego. Okay, let's move on to takeaway 5. My final takeaway of part 2 of Jay Shetty's book, which we discussed previously, part 1. If you did not get a chance to look at part 1, please do so. I really appreciate your feedback. And I apologize for the video. I'm just learning, and I promise you, maybe by video number 20, keep hope alive, we'll get it right. Okay, so we're practicing, but the information is still the same. It's still coming out to you, and I hope if nothing comes out of this except the fact that you may learn one thing, and you may be touched by something from the book. You may go away 5 from, and my final takeaway is visualize. So something he said, which shocks me, is to think your visualization when you close your eyes, either in the morning to think about something, or to remember something, or to get decompressed from the day before. When you close your eyes and you do visualization, he reminds us that everything you see in the world, man-made, was previously visualized. The phone that I'm recording on, my sweater that I have on, the book, my notebook. Someone visualized this pattern. It was visualized before. My earrings, they were visualized beforehand. The phone or television that you're watching me on, someone visualized those things and created that. So creation, all things man-made, or visualized beforehand. You have that power just as the person who designed the cell phone that I'm recording on. So according to Jay, visualization is very important. Everyone does it, maybe not as deliberate as you think of when you are doing meditation, but visualization, he says, activates the brain. And he gives an example of something that occurred when they were taking a train, and it was a very noisy train. And his teacher, you guys know the story, Think Like a Monk, is about Jay Shetty, all the different things he learned in life and determining his purpose, and how he studied to be a monk. So he was a monk, and he did actually live his life as a monk for a period of time. And he was on this train with his teacher, and they meditate because monks, that's one of the things they do. Um, and the train was noisy and it was crowded. And Jay said to his teacher, I'm not going to meditate. I'll just wait till later. I don't remember exactly when he said. He said it's too chaotic that he would meditate later. And you know what the teacher says to him? You know what his teacher said to him? He says, "Do you think death will be calm? You have to learn to meditate in chaos." And I'm going to leave you with that. Life is chaotic. You have to be able to learn to calm yourself. So one, you don't react in anger, for example, and you think about others. When you are calm, you're able to calm your nerves, you're able to calm yourselves, and you're able to focus on what needs to be done. So that is my final takeaway for part 2 of Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk. And I will see you in part 3, right? And it's only 3 parts to his book, so that will be our final part. Thank you so much for watching, for the good of the group. Bye.